I always thought my family was solid. My wife and I had been married for over 15 years, and though we had our ups and downs, I believed we had built something real. We had a teenage daughter, and like most fathers, I loved her more than anything. I worked long hours, sometimes sacrificing my own peace, just to give them the life I never had growing up. A good house, vacations, gadgets for my daughter, everything a family could want. But the truth has a cruel way of clawing its way into the light. And when it did, I realized the two people I trusted most were living double lives under my roof. It started with little things. My wife would work late more often, dressing up more than usual for ordinary days. My daughter, who used to be open with me, became secretive. She'd hide her phone whenever I walked into the room, whisper in hushed tones, and always defend her mother whenever I asked questions. I told myself it was just teenage moodiness, but deep down, I felt something was wrong. The turning point came when I noticed expensive things showing up in the house. Jewelry, handbags, perfumes, things I had never bought my wife. When I asked, she shrugged it off with a casual, "I treated myself." But her salary couldn't cover those luxuries, and she knew it. Then I noticed my daughter sporting the latest phone, designer sneakers, and accessories worth far more than her allowance. When I asked where they came from, she just smirked and said, "Mom got them for me." The pit in my stomach grew. Something wasn't right. One night, I got my confirmation. I came home earlier than usual. The lights were dim, the house unusually quiet. From the living room, I heard laughter. A man's laughter. When I stepped closer, I saw them, my wife and her friend, sitting too close on the couch, her hand brushing his as she laughed like a teenager. My daughter sat there too, wearing a smug look, as if she had known all along. When they noticed me, my wife froze. The man stood up awkwardly. But what gutted me most was my daughter's reaction. She looked me straight in the eye and said, "Dad, don't ruin this. He takes care of us. Look at all the things Mom and I have now. Why can't you just let us be happy?" Her words felt like knives. My own daughter, the one I had sacrificed so much for, was protecting her mother's affair, for gifts, for things money could buy. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anyone out that night. Instead, I stayed quiet. But inside, a storm was brewing. I knew I had to act carefully. Rage would only make me look weak. Revenge required patience. Over the next few weeks, I gathered everything: texts, photos, receipts. My daughter didn't even try to hide it anymore. She'd flaunt her new shoes or purse, bragging about how Mom's friend had bought it for her. I pretended to be oblivious, but inside, I was documenting every shred of evidence. Then came the day of reckoning. I waited until my wife's lover was over again. My daughter was there too, proudly showing off a bracelet he had just bought her. I walked in, calm as ever, carrying a folder. My wife rolled her eyes, expecting me to cause a scene. My daughter gave me that same smug smirk. But this time, I wasn't angry. I was in control. I placed the folder on the table and said, "I've been quiet long enough. Inside this folder is everything: photos, texts, proof of the affair, and proof of financial gifts. Tomorrow morning this will go to my lawyer." My wife's face turned pale. Her lover tried to speak, but I cut him off. "Don't bother. You'll be a name on a legal document soon." Then I turned to my daughter. This was the hardest part. "You protected this. You encouraged it, for jewelry and shoes. You betrayed me as much as she did. And now you'll both live with the consequences." The next morning, I followed through. Divorce papers were filed with full documentation. Because my wife had used marital funds for her affair and gifts, the court sided with me heavily. I gained the house, most of the assets, and full control over the finances. My daughter, being a teenager, chose to live with her mother. I didn't fight it. If she wanted to follow in those footsteps, so be it. On moving day, I stood by as they packed their belongings into trash bags. My wife glared at me. My daughter avoided my eyes, suddenly not so smug anymore. Their lover wasn't there to help them. Turns out, he disappeared the moment lawyers got involved. They left with almost nothing. The gifts? Many were repossessed, or sold off during the divorce. The luxury they valued so much evaporated in weeks. And me? I kept my dignity, my home, and a life free from betrayal. People ask me if I regret evicting my own daughter along with her mother. The truth is painful, but no, I don't. Love isn't blind obedience. Love without respect is just weakness. She made her choice, and so did her mother. They traded loyalty for gifts, and in the end, they lost everything. My revenge wasn't loud, it wasn't violent, it was simple, legal, and final. I didn't just take back control, I made sure they could never exploit me again. And as I watched them walk away from the house I built, I realized something. Sometimes the deepest betrayal doesn't come from enemies, but from the ones you love most. And that's exactly why the sweetest revenge is not just ending their game, it's making sure they can never play it again.